Okay, so we're ready for part 2, or the backside of our multiplying fractions test. We are looking at the area of a rectangle. So what we have to remember is, maybe we look at our star chart of how do we find the area of a rectangle. Well, if we look at that, we're going to find area equals base times height. And I'm going to move that out of the way. So area equals base times height, which means my base and height are going to be 6 2/3 and 2 2/5. So this is really my problem here. I'm taking 6 2/3 times 2 2/5. Well, I see that they are mixed numbers. So if I change them to improper, okay, if I do that, I have 3 times 6, which is 18, plus 2, which is 20 over 3. Times, and then if I change this one, I have 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 2, which is 12 over 5. And then I can see, all right, do I have something that I can simplify? And I do. 5 and 20. 5 goes into both of them. 5 goes in here once, and it goes into 24 times. 3 and 12 are also divisible by 3. So 3 goes into 3 once and into 12 4 times. So really what I have here is 4 times 4, which is 16 over 1, but I don't need to put it over 1. So really my answer is going to be 16, and it'll be inches squared because it is an area. So that would be my answer for that. Number 11. So number 11, it says it takes 6 1/5 gallons of soap to wash 4 cars. How many gallons of soap will it be needed to wash 24? And so here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to set it up this way because a table, I know I've got gallons of soap. So I'm just going to put gallon for gallons and cars here. So here's what I know. It's 6 1/5 to wash 4 cars, right? And we need to know how many is it going to take to wash 24. So what I have to notice is, how do I get here? Well, I multiplied by 6. So what am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to multiply by 6. So really my problem here is 6 1/5 times 6. Well, 6 1/5 is going to be a mixed number, so I need to change it. So I'm going to do my I Heart Texas. So 6 times 5 plus 1 would be 31 over 5. And then times 6 over 1. I don't see anything that I can simplify because 5 and 6 aren't able to simplify. 5 and 31 aren't. So I've got 186 because I multiply 31 times 6 over 5. And I'm going to need to simplify that. So I'm going to come up here because I'm running out of room here. So I've got 186 divided by 5. It's going to go in 3 times. That's 15. I have a 3 and I bring down a 6, and 5 goes into 36 7 times, which is 35, which means there's 1 left over. So I've got my answer is going to be 37 1/5 gallons of soap. So that would be it right there. Okay, so we had to set up our chart so we knew what are we changing and what are we doing. All right, so number 12, it says convert 5 3/10 grams to milligrams. So I've got those grams and milligrams things going on. And again, I'm going to put my chart this way. And I know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. And I know that because I looked at my star chart. That's how I know. And I want to know what is 5 3/10. How many is it there? Well, one thing that we can notice is, how did we get here? Well, I multiplied by 1,000. And so I need to do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply by 1,000. All right, so 5 3/10 is really 53/10. So 53 over 10 times 1,000 over 1. Well, 10 and 1,000 are both divisible by the same thing. I can put 10 into both of them. 10 goes in here once, and it's going to go in here 100 times. So basically, I'm taking 53 times 100, or 5,300 milligrams is what it's going to end up being. Okay. All right. So looking at number 13, and we kind of have writing all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this now because we have writing everywhere. Okay. When multiplying a fraction by another fraction, the product will have a value that's A, greater than the first fraction, less than the first fraction, equal to the first fraction, or it varies. You can't tell until you solve the problem. Well, we actually can tell. So that's why that one's kind of a throw you off type thing. We can tell. So that one's not going to be an option. It's a fraction times a fraction. So something like 1/2 times 1/3. Well, you know, if it gets larger, I've got to multiply by something larger than 1. If it stays the same, I have to multiply by something equal to 1. And if it gets smaller, I'm multiplying by something less than 1. So a fraction by a fraction, like 1/2 times 1/3, that is less than 1. That's a fraction. A fraction is less than 1. The other, if it gets larger, that means I would have to have like 2 and 1/3. That's bigger than 1. Or if it's equal to it, it's going to be like 4/4 or 1 or 10/10 or whatever the case may be for that. Sorry, my alarm just went off. All right, so in this case, and I could actually solve this and see what it would give me. Whoopsie, that's kind of a mess. I could take 1/2 times 1/3 and get 1/6, and I need to recognize 1/6 is smaller than 1/2. It's smaller than that. So it's less than that first fraction. Okay, it's not going to be greater. If it was greater, we'd have to multiply by something larger right there. If it's equal, it would have to equal 1. All right, number 14. The scale factor of a map is 2 1/4 inches equals 25 miles. If Burleson and Dallas are 46 miles apart, how many inches would that be on the map? Well, I'm kind of got a comparison again. So looks like I'm doing inches and really with miles. And I guess I'll go this way with it. And I know it's 2 1/4 is the same thing as 25 miles. And I want to know how do I get to 46 miles apart? Okay, actually, there is a typo. And so we're going to tell you this in class as well. But this right here should be a 75 miles. That's what it should be. So we're trying to get to 75 miles. So that means to get from 25 to 75, we're multiplying by 3. So we've got to do the same thing here. We're going to multiply by 3. So I'm taking 2 1/4 times 3. That's really my problem. Well, 2 1/4 has to change to an improper fraction. So we would do our backwards here. We do I Heart Texas. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 would give me 9/4 times 3 over 1. Well, I can't simplify it all, so I'm just going to multiply and get 27/4. And then I've got to change it back. 4 goes into 27 6 times, which gives me 24, so there's 3 left over. So 6 3/4 would be my answer for that. That's how many inches there are. Okay, we'll get you to change that in class tomorrow or whatever day you have that. So 15 and 16, real quick. 15, convert the mixed number into an equivalent improper fraction. Well, we've been doing that. That should be super easy. So we should be taking 18 times 15 times 8 to get 120, and then plus 4 would be 124 over 15, and that's because I took 15 times 8, okay, and so we end up with 120 there, and then we add that 4. Convert the improper fraction to equivalent mixed number. Well, I'm dividing, so 52 divided by 9, it's going to go in 5 times, which would give me 45. And then there's 7 left over. So my answer here is going to be 5 7/9. All right. If you're having issues, come in and talk to your teacher. That's all for now. Good luck.